Governor Ngige declares Wednesday public holiday for Tinubu's visit. Suspended Adamoa Rek Hudu Yunusa Ari arrested and now in police custody. President Muhammadu Buhari excludes Finance Ministry from the Treasury single account. And outside Nigeria, Ugandan Minister Colonel Charles Okello Ngola shot dead by bodyguard. And Senegal's main opposition leader Ousmane Sonko calls for civil disobedience against judiciary. Welcome to Politics HQ. I'm Tolulope, Adeleru-Balogun. Tonight, we're going to get into issues of course, national importance, because that's what we do right here on Politics HQ. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has given government a 2-week warning for the potential of yet another strike in the medical sector. And we'll look at a number of stories that are, of course, capturing national attention, from conversations around the leaked audio tape involving presidential candidates of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, as well as a plea for clemency and mercy coming from Nigeria's House of Representatives and a National Assembly for one of its own in the UK. There are a few stories we are definitely touching base on today. Again, welcome to the show, but first, a quick time out, and then we get started. Stick around. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, has issued the government a 2-week ultimatum before it embarks on a nationwide strike. Now, resident doctors in the country, a pivotal part of the country's medical workforce, are demanding a 200% pay rise from the government. According to the doctors, the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure was last adjusted in 2013 and is due for an upward review in tandem with current realities. But Minister of Labor and Employment Dr. Ngige has said the demand is unrealistic as the government continues to attempt to engage the doctors in a bid to find a lasting solution. Joining me right now is the Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Umar Musa. Dr. Musa, welcome to Politics HQ. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, Nigeria.
So let me start by asking you this. Thank you. Let me start by asking you this. You talk about the association says that the last time the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure was adjusted was in 2013. Between then and now, what efforts has the association made in terms of sorting this salary issue?
The issue of the consolidated commerce salary structure for medical doctors or medical practitioners in Nigeria is an issue that has been ongoing, and we can see clearly that it has not been reviewed for the past 9 to 10 years now. The last time it was reviewed was 2014, and it has not been reviewed up to this time. So negotiations have been ongoing, at times stalled clearly by the side of the government, solely the Federal Minister of Health, who is responsible for these negotiations. For 6 months now, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors and the government have not sat down to renegotiate these consolidated commerce salary for medical doctors. And this is where we are, and that is why we have made it one of our topmost demands to bid for an increment or a pay rise or a review for these consolidated commerce salaries. And you agree with me that so many things are the hardship in Nigeria, the inflation rate, the dollar exchange and what have you. All these are reasons behind the upward review of this consolidated salary structure.
Okay, so let me ask you about the 200% increase, which is what NARD is asking for. How did you arrive at the 200%?
Yeah, I just mentioned now that it has skyrocketed in Nigeria. The inflation rate is in double digits now, compared to what we have 2-3 years ago. And the prices of fuel, prices of commodities have risen. And then we have a body issue, the brain drain. And if this brain drain or the upper review of this consolidated commerce salary is not being reviewed, how do we tackle the issue of brain drain? Nigeria, you lost an average of 100 doctors every month. And so you can see, and this is how we arrived at these 200 to close the gap between Nigeria and then other countries where our doctors who migrate to.
So we've heard from the government, and particularly the Minister of Labor and Productivity, Dr. Ngige, who says that the government simply cannot afford this, and they've offered a 25% increase. But the association seems to believe that governments can afford the 200% increase. Are you at all concerned about where the government should get this money from to give you this 200% increase?
Yes, but yes, we are concerned, but Nigeria can afford it. Nigeria is not a poor state. It's something that they can afford, and it's not difficult to implement this. And you can see that the 25% the federal government is talking about is compared to other salary structures that have been reviewed. So this is far less than what we expected from the government. and then we call on them to take a review on this and then offer something that is more tangible and then to be acceptable for us.
So interesting enough, in answering one of my questions, you mentioned that the association and the government have been unable to see eye to eye in the previous months when it comes to this salary review. So tell Nigerians right now, what is the status of the negotiations with the government on this request? Have there been meetings that you believe would possibly lead to a joint and amicable way forward on this?
Yes, as you all know, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors is open to negotiation. And you can see that we've been patient for 10 years, patient, and we are ready to go back to the negotiation table to continue this negotiation. But however, I must say this that up to this moment, the federal government or its representatives have not offered any negotiation for now. So, but we expect that there will be some progress being made in future.
So 1 week of the 2-week warning has almost lapsed, and there's been no real progress according to you. And the 2-week ultimatum will lapse on May the 13th. So how prepared is the union to go on strike if government does not either meet you at the negotiation table or accede to your demands? And I think what Nigerians would want to know is, where would another strike in the medical field leave millions of Nigerians who use the services, who depend on the services of resident doctors across the country?
Yeah, yes. It is a demand by our members, not the NARD leadership party. And it's a call for all Nigerian resident doctors that the government should look into these issues. These are tangible issues. And we are prepared. All our members are prepared. And like my president has said, there is no going back to these if the government fails to respond to some of our issues. We are prepared. We have started mobilization of all our local chapters to get prepared, and they have adequately informed their employers as per awaiting the outcome of negotiations within the confines of this ultimatum.
So I do have to ask, because this comes just a few weeks after a very controversial bill made its way into the House of Representatives. And some would say this looks like maybe a threat or a payback strike for the bill that's before the House of Representatives that wants to impose 5 years of post-graduation service on medical and dental graduates in the country. So let's answer them. Dr. Musa, is this strike or this threat of a strike in any way sort of payback for what the House of Representatives seems to be considering at this time?
No, obviously this is the least of our problems, but however, it's important that we address this so that not to mislead the public. This bill, we regard it as a threat to the medical practice in general, not only to the medical practitioners, but to the health system in general. Because if you say that doctors will not be licensed for 5 years, then what will they be doing within these 5 years? Will they remain as quacks or what have you? Because it is the license that make up the doctor. The doctor without a license, do Nigeria want to have a pool of quack doctors within its reach? So you can see that it's very difficult. It's a disadvantage to Nigeria and its health system at large. So, but however, I want to say that this is one of the least of our problems. But this bill is dead on arrival. It's an expensive joke part too, because if the government wants to tackle the issue of benzene, there are other and simpler and easier measures that will be taken to tackle the benzene, not by making obvious on this obnoxious bill that will threaten the health system and medical practitioners in general.
All right. So you issued the strike notice on April 29th, which is just exactly 1 month before a new administration would be sworn in Nigeria. Would it not have been better to wait until a new administration comes in to table the salary increase, given also the fact that there's really been no review under the Buhari administration in the past few years? So why not table the issue before an administration that might be open to it, rather than one that is going out and that hasn't made any moves in the past few years?
Yeah, as far as we are concerned, government is a continuum, and then there is no deal that there is a break in governance in Nigeria. So the issue of which has not been thrown in, I don't think on that good water because we are losing doctors every day, and then we are looking at it in the aspect of tackling drinking. When all these things are being solved, it helps in resolving some of the burning issues in the health system. So the present government can do, God so kind is an um, something that can be handled. It will have a seamless stance and government. And then we are confident that we just need to have the headroom because without the headroom, we will not have how will I call it, the needed job. But obviously, it needs a review, and then it doesn't matter whether or not this government is leaving or not. But it's something that they have to look into it and give it a good decision.
All right, Dr. Musa, before I let you go, the request or the demand from the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors is 200%. Government has offered 25%. There obviously is a very wide gap between what's being demanded and what's being offered. Is there a room for a compromise? Is there a possible middle ground to be found here before we basically condemn millions of Nigerians to yet another strike in the medical sector?
The reason for this 200, we just don't want to say we have an upward review and then government to now exaggerate all these issues. So, and that is why we need a review that a substantive review that will actually give value to what we have been looking for. So 25%, that's a good offer, good and fine, but I know that government can do better, and we hope that they will offer more. But there is always room for compromise. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors is known for this compromise that I have seen. We have been patient for 10 years now. So many issues have not been solved, and then we have not gone for strike, despite several ultimatums, despite several reminders to the government. And then we look at the situation of our health system also, and then the situation of Nigeria at large. And that is why we have been overlooking some of these issues by the government in their refusal to upward review the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure.
All right. Dr. Umar Musa, Public Relations Officer for the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, thank you so much for joining me on Politics HQ. We'll continue to follow through with this and see how things lead in the coming week or so when the ultimatum will be, of course, coming to an end. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. And it's definitely news that millions of Nigerians would not want to hear about the potential of yet another strike in the medical sector involving resident doctors. It's something that is never too far from many people's minds. The hardship and, of course, unfortunately, in some situations, the loss that Nigerians experience when these doctors go on strike. But as of right now, it's almost a week into the 2-week warning strike or the 2-week ultimatum before the strike. But my guest has told me that there have been really no negotiations or conversations with government. What will happen when the strike elapses in early May? Will the Residents Association go on strike, and will the government possibly see to meeting them somewhere halfway? This conversation will follow up. But when we come back from the break, we get into several political issues that have continued to capture national attention. And we'll look at their developments in recent days and even in the past few hours. Stay with us.